A little boy at the airport kept trying to climb over a concrete divider that had active traffic on the other side. His mom was loaded with luggage and kept trying to stop him but didn't have free hands. My brother-in-law walked up and said, "Hey kid, there's a rule here. You have to keep one foot on the ground at all times. Look around. Everyone has at least one foot on the ground." The kid kept trying to climb, but with one foot firmly glued to the ground he wasn't in danger anymore. Such a creative and wholesome way to let the kid keep playing while keeping him safe. I'm so using in the future. Thanks for that. As a parent, drop the luggage and tell him you need his help and hand him a little bag so he feels needed and stays with you. When I would take my ex's kids out grocery shopping or wherever, I would have the oldest one, age 5, hold on to my key lanyard and pretend he was walking me like a dog. He thought it was hilarious, and I didn't have to hold his hand, his brothers, and the groceries all at the same time. I thought this was a really cute idea, and then I remembered that some kids are little shits and would be roughly pulling your lanyard and trying to make you turn in different ways. LMAO. A friend and I were talking, and she said shit in front of the kid of another friend. I dismissed it by saying, "Hey, she probably knows worse." We asked what was the worst word she knows. She very carefully looked around just in case her parents were around and whispered selfish. Geez, I asked my 6-year-old son what was the worst word he knew. He responded that would probably be cunt. Australian? Not such a bad word if he's Australian. I have 2 nieces. At little one's birthday her friend gave her 2 unicorn toys. She immediately looks at Big C's with a huge smile. "Look Big C's. This one for you. We can both play." She was genuinely so excited to play unicorns with her sister, and it never even occurred to her that he didn't need to give one to her. My heart grew 3 sizes that day. What a lovely child. I was on what I call a rumpled suit flight. One of those flights on a Friday at 6 from New York to DC where most of the flight consists of business people in suits drinking $14 double whiskers. A fellow rumpled suit sat across the aisle from me next to a mother and her kid. When she could, the kid brought down her tray table and a coloring book and started coloring. I didn't hear what was said, but at some point the kid handed the rumpled suit a coloring book, and they spent the remainder of the flight coloring and chatting. I was kinda like, I want to color too. I was on a flight about a month ago and there was a kid next to me with a bunch of Pokemon cards. This was after Sword and Shield was announced, so I asked him if he was excited for the new game. His eyes lit up immediately, and he started geeking out and showing me all his favorite Pokemon. I told him my favorite game was Emerald, and he said he never got to play it. I have a GBA emulator on my phone with a ROM of it, so I let him play it the rest of the flight. The joy of a child is absolutely beautiful. Nice story. Emerald is my favorite too. Probably has something to do with it being the last one I played. Was headed to Oakland from San Francisco through the tube. Trains packed as always. People on BART are good about public transit etiquette in general during commute hours, so nobody's talking or listening to music or anything. When we leave the tube onto the viaduct over the port, one guy answers his phone. "Hello. Yeah? Oh my god. What hospital? Okay, I'll be there as soon as I can." He hangs up and just looks super distraught. Someone taps him on the shoulder and says, "My car is parked at West Oakland. Do you need a ride?" He agrees and they get off together. Little gesture, but it was uplifting to see someone volunteer for a stranger like that. Slightly less wholesome, but I've always thought a motorcycle Uber would be good for in really busy cities when you need to get somewhere fast. Businessman late for a meeting in London. Here's a helmet. Sign this waiver. We can filter past all the traffic. Gran is dying, and you need to get there now. Helmet. Waiver. Hold on tight. I know someone who worked at a small startup in San Francisco. Apparently the CEO had a flight booked from Oakland to London, but was a bit of an airhead and hadn't realized his passport had expired. His flight was in 2 hours. He basically paid for the stupid expensive super fast renewal process and jetted over to the passport office to have his renewed and issued provisional paperwork in 45 minutes. When he was done, he was still across the bay from Oakland with only an hour and 15 minutes before his flight. BART to the airport from downtown SF is 35 minutes, and he was a 15-minute walk away from the nearest BART station. Would be cutting it too close to get through security with his bags. In traffic on the bridge at rush hour, it can take 2 hours. No way he'd make it. Apparently he called up a nearby motorcycle dealership and said, "I don't know how to ride a motorcycle, but if I leased a motorcycle from you for 2 weeks and paid you extra, will you drive it to the Oakland airport with me on the back, park it at long-term parking, and take BART back? I have a flight in 75 minutes. The guy said, "Let me call the owner." 10 minutes later the owner called him back and said, "We don't do that. But fuck it. Let's go." He made his flight. I love how the moral of the story is A, when you're rich you can make dumb mistakes and still solve any resulting problem, and B, motorcycles are basically like teleporters in congested areas, and C, when you ask the kind of guy who owns a motorcycle dealership to do something crazy and random and exciting, they're probably down. What about his luggage? If I recall correctly, he took a shoulder bag with the essentials and had the rest of it shipped. I'm telling this story third hand though, so I could easily be getting specifics wrong. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, I have many more videos like this. Have a good day.